just did that. So great job bringing it down the course, friendly.
Coming up, we have the men's open C single heat 1. From left to right in lane 7, Alexander Stanovoy from Detroit, William Newell from Chinook in lane 6. Oh, excuse me, Juan Rivera. I skipped a line. Juan Rivera from unaffiliated lane 7, Patrick Johnson from 612 Endurance, lane 5, Robert Kleinderline from Belmont. In lane 4, Jorge Gonzalez from Sarasota County. In lane 3, Stan Vagar from San Diego. And in lane 2, Carl Jaoka.
So again, another heat today with people stretching from almost all 4 counties, or country, all 4 corners of the country.
Good, you can see early leader here from lane 6. So that'll be Patrick Johnson from 612 Endurance with quite the open water lead, almost a length and a half of open water on the rest of the field, followed by lane 7, Juan Rivero, unaffiliated.
Sometimes when you see a spread like that, it's kind of interesting to take a look at the technique and see what's going on there. So for the few seconds that we were able to see Patrick Johnson there, it looked like he was doing a great job of, kind of suspending his body weight and sequencing through so that each part of the drive adds on to the previous part. The body adds speed to the legs, and the arms add speed to the handle to finish out the stroke and release.
But it starts with the legs.
Starts with the legs.
Gosh, that high vis, green, yellow, really just almost glowing there on screen.
So things are stacking up to look like. If you would like your appearance to be commented on, please wear a bucket hat or a high vis color.
Or dye your hair, fun color too.
Or dye your hair, fun color. We've seen it all. And we will point it out because observational humor has no limits.
It's true. Your leader is still in lane 6. Our single sculler from 612 Endurance. He's peeking over his left shoulder, making sure that that second place sculler, Juan Rivero, who's unaffiliated, isn't encroaching on his lead as he was the second place across the halfway point. And then watch out for this tight race. Again, it's only the top 2 to the final, so it's going to be a last dash effort for these trailing singles to see if they can make up some ground. Last Hail Mary, just try to make it into that final.
Right, it's looking really tight through the rest of the field. Patrick Johnson maintaining that lead, being chased down by a high rating Juan Rivero in lane 7. He is bringing that rate up, making sure no one catches him, and he secures his spot in this afternoon's final. Final sprint from Robert Kleinderline was not enough to catch Juan Rivero. Maybe just a difference of, where those athletes started that sprint, or maybe just a difference in the skill up there at those elevated rates. I feel like everyone has that sort of experience where, you think back to a race that you won because you were just feeling brave and started the sprint a little bit earlier.
And it can pay off.
It can pay off. Gotta know what your capabilities are as a racer to know if it is something that you can sustain all the way through to the end.
And this second heat is underway, so we have 3 heats total. Top 2 from each heat will place into the 6-boat final. This is heat 2 of 3. Again, the men's open C single. So we have from left to right, Alexander Stanovoy from Detroit, William Newell, lane 6 from Chinook, Leonti Dialis from New Haven in lane 5, Douglas Kelly from Riverfront Recapture in lane 4, Jeffrey Owens from Atlanta in lane 3, and Eric Nine Neighbor from Occoquan in lane 2.
So a couple boats out in front here in the white boat in lane 6. That does look like William Newell from Chinook. Really matching stroke for stroke with Douglas Kelly of Riverfront Recapture in lane 4 in a darker boat there. Those two looking kind of comfortable in these top 2 spots here, advancing to this afternoon's final. So you can hear one of the leaders, Douglas Kelly from Riverfront Recapture there. And as the camera swings, we do see lane 6 from Chinook.
So again, rowing is one of those beautiful sports where you have this kind of unique psychological advantage when you're ahead. So obviously in a running race or swimming race, if you're ahead, you can't necessarily see the competitors trailing behind you, so you don't really know if they're making a move or coming back into your lead. And suddenly that can be a surprise when they catch back up to you. But in rowing, you face backwards so you can see your competitors behind you when you're ahead, and you can kind of push yourself off of them, pacing yourself off of your competitors that you are currently ahead of, and kind of gives you this really big psychological advantage to be ahead early on in the race.
Right, you're not chasing, or you feel less like you're being chased down because you're aware of what's behind you. Also interesting to think about, again, all the different paths that people have taken to get here to Masters Nationals, whether they started out as athletes within the sport as high schoolers, or began in college, or maybe came to it as adults. People are bringing all different kinds of experiences here. Easy to imagine that everyone here competing is some sort of a lifelong athlete, and everyone's bringing some other experience to the table for sure. Laying it all out here on the race course here in Oak Ridge.
Your leaders are staying the same. These top 2 boats, lane 6, that crew from Chinook, and the Riverfront Recapture, Douglas Kelly in lane 4. Go Doug.
These 2 boats going to advance, both bringing up the intensity in these last few strokes. Will be William Newell through the line first, followed by Douglas Kelly.
I would say that was a friendly finish, but I do believe they're at a near race pressure there, which can be friendly, but definitely a little bit more stressful than your typical friendly row.
Definitely friendly in the sense that they're, you know, bringing each other up to a higher level than they would have.
We're not putting each other down.
Yeah.
Right.
Would have achieved on their own.
Like, hey, I'm going to go a little bit faster. You want to join?
You want? He's going faster. I'm going faster.
An invitation to go fast together. Our coach, Eric Catalano, would call that a quest for speed. Alright, about to get underway. We have the men's open C single heat 3. So we've had the first 2 heats go off pretty much without a hitch. This is the 3rd heat. We're going to look for top 2 finishers, first and second, that will qualify them to head to the final this afternoon. From left to right, we have lane 7, Bill Flynn from Carnegie Lake. In lane 6, Mike McKay from Heroes Movement. In lane 5, Marcio Trocoli from Newport Sea Base. In lane 4, Julio Sanchez from Vero Beach. In lane 3, Aaron Hack from Everett Association. And in lane 2, Scott Smith from Hampton Roads. They're getting into those stake boats, getting our battle balls aligned here to have a fair and safe start. We do have a little bit of puff of wind, trying to keep our bows straight as we get ready to race here. We have 6 boats across.
Right,
We've had an issue here. The athletes have stopped. Might have been a misstart here or breakage. Usually the 2 reasons that a start would be called off after the race has started. We'll see what's happening. If we can tell from our vantage point here, the crews will have to come back to the stake boats and restart.
I haven't taken these off. Oh my god. And we're watching all of these boats getting back into the stake boat. Everyone sort of having to back it down, always a bit of a challenge. It actually looks like one athlete here is rowing back up and now spinning in front of the stake boat. So one of those weird chances where we have to reset, get back in. It's always going to be a challenge there. To have to go from you're in your first strokes, a really intense part of the race, and then get back, reset, and start over.
It's all about adaptability here.
Looks like everyone is getting locked on. Hopefully we'll get ready to go right away. Since we just lined it back up and we're ready to go, I would imagine that there wasn't any sort of breakage that happened there, that maybe it was just a false start from one of the athletes here. So able to restart, everyone will get to go off the line. Those officials there making sure that everything is happening fairly. Good. A great shot here from the drone of all of these boats, 6 boats across, lined up on the stake boats. We can see that dock off to the side where the aligner is able to stand or sit, and look at those bow balls. Look out across the line and make sure that everyone is there, and giving those instructions then to our stake boat holders who are getting hands on the stern decks of these boats. So just a great little behind the scenes look up at the start line.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see this in the conventional way of watching races where everyone just kind of clusters at the finish line, trying to see who actually got that end result. Instead, with the drone, we get to see the whole race unfold from start to finish, trying to get that inside look at the movement between the boats, if there are any lead changes within the race, and kind of getting a look at that kind of close-up view of how the athletes are rowing. Oftentimes the only people who get that view are the teammates themselves, the actual athletes, and maybe even a coach if the coach kind of trails on a bicycle, depending on how fast that boat is.
Right, and this the course and the availability of a bike path for that coach. So we're able to see this full start here because of the little bit of gap in racing as we reset this race, allowing our drone to go all the way up to the start and watch. We can see that they're off here, keeping an eye on everyone to make sure that we have a fair start, making it through the first 100 meters unscathed. From right to left on the screen, we have Bill Flynn of Carnegie Lake, Mike McKay of Heroes Movement, Marcio Trocoli of Newport Sea Base, Julio Sanchez of Vero Beach, Aaron Hack of Everett Association, and Scott Smith of Hampton Roads.
Great start here from lane 6. That's Mike McKay from Heroes Movement, being swiftly challenged by lane 4. Again, that's Sanchez from Vero Beach. These are our first 2 early leaders. Again, this is only top 2 to final, so those top 2 positions, not only coveted positions, but we'll try to see how these racers approach the 1,000 meter distance. So far in the previous 2 heats in this event, we've seen our 2 early leaders make an early stance and then use that advantage, looking back at their competitors trailing behind, to try to push off of their competitors and maintain their early top 2 positions.
Right, I do really feel like some of these events with just 2 advancing versus 3 advancing really puts the pressure on all of these athletes, maybe pushing them to a little bit more, of a higher performance. So again, this is the 3rd heat of the men's open single C category. Crossing over the 500 meter halfway point here.
So we have had 2 heats in this event so far. The first heat, we had a near photo finish with a couple of crews battling each other. The winning time to beat in this event is, let's see if I can get the result up, 3:54 is the time to beat. So we've had our top 4 so far with times of 3:54, 3:55, 3:59, and 4:02. We'll see how these athletes can compare across the different heats. As we enter the last 250 into those red buoys, we'll see how our early leaders, Mike McKay and Sanchez from Heroes Movement and Vero Beach, can hold on to this lead and how they'll compare to the other athletes. Again, if you have a commanding lead, that sprint, that last full press effort might not be necessary, and you might actually make the decision to conserve a little bit of energy if you're concerned about your recovery, if you're concerned about racing another event and having enough gas in the tank to make it through the entire day, let alone the entire weekend. It's a 4-day regatta. So we'll see athletes making different decisions, some practicing their sprint, others keeping it low and just doing whatever it's necessary to stay ahead.
But our top 2 boats coming through here, last couple strokes coming into this 1K finish line. Lane
will
4,
be Sanchez.
Julio Sanchez finishing first. And it looked like lane 6, Mike McKay of Heroes Movement finishing second, taking that
Watch out for
second spot.
Lane 5 there at the end, Newport Sea Base, really gunning for the line, trying to see if they can get into that last qualifying position, but not quite enough room to make it. Similar times actually with the other 2 heats. We had the winning time, Sanchez with 3:56 and McKay with 3:59.
So great
Should
job.
have a pretty exciting final then, with
That'll definitely
all
be
6 boats coming within just about 8 seconds of each other in different